beautiful, powerful soul. They have no fucking idea what's about to hit them, right? They all love the fall, that unraveling, the failure. They're celebrating your fucking ruin, right? Like fucking hyenas. They're just laughing, right? Pointing, judging, moving on. You were like their entertainment, they thought. Their little tragedy. Just another name to whisper when they want to feel better, right? About their own worthless lives. But now they're staring again, right? I'm hearing eyes wide, mouths shut, hearts pounding. And not with pity, not with concern, oh no. With fear, with wonder, with regret. Because what the fuck did you become? You're not just bouncing back. You didn't just crawl out of your grave still clinging to your old self. No. You killed who you were before. You burned that blueprint. And then you're building something no one can define, no one can measure, no one can stop. I'm hearing they thought that you were done. They thought you were broken, but you were evolving. They thought you were weak, but you were becoming unstoppable. This isn't a comeback. This is domination. Do you remember the nights, like the ones that just seemed like blurred into frickin' weeks where no one checked on you, no one believed in you, when even your own reflection probably started to mock you, right? That's where the new you was forged. Not in light, not in comfort, but in fire. You didn't just survive the darkness. You integrated it. You drank the pain like the poison, and it made you immune. You turned loneliness into honor. You turned betrayal into blades. And now you're not just walking into a room. You shift the gravity of the room. You're not here to explain yourself. You're not here to be liked by them or understood. You're here to make sure that they never forget you. Not in passing, not in rumor or memory, but in fear, in respect, in obsession. Like the mask, like what the hell did you become, right? Let them whisper it behind their closed doors with their trembling little voices. Let them try to decode you, contain you, calm you. They can't. You're not a fucking comeback story. You're the storm that ends stories. You're what happens when a soul refuses to stay buried. When pain isn't your enemy anymore, it's your fucking fuel. When every scar becomes a medal, when every loss becomes a lesson, and every no becomes a war cry. They thought you were emotional. Now you're explosive. They thought you were unstable. Now you're untouchable. They thought you needed saving. Now they're praying. They don't need saving from you. Let them stare, let them stalk, let them gossip, let them ask, let them tremble in their little worlds of mediocrity and judgment. Because you don't fit anymore. You don't shrink. You don't apologize anymore. You stand, you roar, you own. Not just your name, not just your past, but the whole fucking narrative. The whole world. This is not a redemption arc, right? This is a takeover. This is the part where the old you's dead and the new you, the unholy, unbreakable, untamed version, begins the reign. So the next time that they want to ask, what the fuck did she become? What the fuck did he become? You look them in the eye and say, everything that you feared I'd find, everything you never had the strength to become. Bye. Right? Let them drown in the silence that you're going to leave behind with them. But they don't really want an answer from you, do they? They ask it like a question, but really it's just a confession. A troubling little whisper of fear, because deep down, they know. They know something unnatural happened while they were watching. Something unforgivable. Something that they won't ever understand. You didn't just change. You detonated. Now you're walking through the wreckage wearing the crown of your own ashes. See, people love controlled chaos. They love a rebel who still plays by their invisible rules, who breaks down, but not too far. Who gets angry, but not too loud, right? Who fights back, but still loses at the end, because that keeps them comfortable. That keeps them in control and you manageable. But what do they do, right? When the person that they very much underestimated refuses to die in their script? What do they do when the villain they thought they created writes their own damn ending. That's you. A glitch in the matrix of their fake morality, a virus in their tiny little hierarchy. You were supposed to disappear, but you bounced back laughing, burning, and you're going to build empires from your own bones. This is beyond resilience. This is beyond recovery. This is what happens when the pain doesn't break you. It transformed you. No more tiptoeing, no more filters, no more playing dead just to keep them comfortable. You snapped. And what spilled out wasn't weakness. It was power. Pure, raw, radiant, terrifying. They can't label you now. They can't box you in. They can't chain you into silence. Because you no longer need their acceptance. You don't even hear their shit. You're too busy orchestrating symphonies in the shadows that they abandoned you in. Remember when they thought that you lost your mind? Good. Because that's the exact moment you found your soul. You didn't rebuild the old you. You murdered the old you. And then you planted something in that soil so monstrous, so magnificent. It's now growing in the shape of vengeance and victory. They won't clap. They won't cheer. They won't support. They'll watch though. They'll whisper. They'll wonder. And that's the power. You don't owe them peace. You don't owe them an explanation. You owe yourself one thing. Domination. Not petty revenge, not validation. Total, unrelentless domination. Because this world doesn't reward the soft, right? It doesn't reward the obedient. It bows to the ones who stopped asking for permission and took the throne anyway. And now you are. You're that throne. You are the ending that they never saw coming. You're the question that they'll never have an answer to. So let them keep saying things. What the hell did you become? And you smile, because you know what you've become. You became the consequence. You became the roar that silence gave birth to. You became the God hidden inside the grave that they dug for you. And this is your comeback, right? This is your culmination. And I know you can feel it now. That electricity in your blood, that pressure in your chest, that voice in the back of your mind finally screaming to you. I was never meant to bow, because now it's not just about proving them wrong, it's about erasing the version of you that never needed them. They tried to bury you beneath these expectations, guilt, shame, silence. They tried to wrap your identity in chains so tight that you'd forget who you were before they started rewriting your story. But guess what, beautiful soul? You're remembering now. And that memory, that flicker of truth that survived the war, it didn't come back quiet, did it? It came back swinging. You didn't become something polite. You didn't become something pretty. You didn't come back with soft hands and this gentle smile. You came back with ruin in your veins, rage in your frickin' breath, because you finally saw it. The whole game, the hypocrisy, the fraud, the cowardice hidden behind their rules. Systems, expectations, they punished your rebellion because it reminded them of their own surrender. They feared your rise because it exposed how low they chose to stay. They hate your transformation because it reminds them that their excuses look pathetic in life. And now they're gonna watch you like this wildfire, too big to contain, too powerful to ignore, and too damn real to destroy. What the hell did you become? You became the threat they prayed would never wake up. You became the living proof that survival is just a starting point. You became the weapon that forged itself. No savior, no mercy, just intent sharpened into destiny. And let me be really clear, this isn't a comeback. Comebacks are for underdogs. For redemption stories, right? For people begging to be welcomed back into the same sick system that spit them out. You don't want none of that back. You came for everything. Not to ask, not to beg. You're taking. You're not knocking on doors anymore. You're going to kick them down. You're not waiting for their invitation. You're writing the guest list. And your name. It's etched in blood, chaos, and gold. This is what happens when a soul refuses to stay quiet. When pain doesn't just leave scars, it becomes a signature. When failure doesn't end the story, it becomes the prologue. You're not a survivor anymore. Sorry, they're trying to come at me right now. Fucking assholes. You're a revolution with teeth, I'm hearing. Let them stand, watch, whisper, and tremble. Let them cling to their old version of you. Let them mourn the little shadow they thought would never rise again. Because the truth is brutal. The truth is simple. You didn't become someone else. You became everything that you were always meant to be before the world lied to you. Beautiful soul. Now we're past that point of no return, aren't we? Right? We crossed an invisible threshold where words no longer feel like enough, where silence starts to burn, where your very presence becomes an act of war, because when you become something that was never meant to exist, the world takes it personally. They don't just reject you, they try to erase you. Because you've outgrown the language that they use to define control. You've outgrown their entire system of worth. You were supposed to play your part, the quiet one, the failure, the broken toy tossed in life's discard pile. But you didn't just fix yourself, you replaced yourself, piece by piece, scar by scar, and then you lit the old blueprint on fire. So when they look at you now, they don't see a person, they see a reckoning. They see everything that they've tried to suppress, alive, walking, breathing, unapologetic. You're the unfiltered consequence of years of neglect, betrayal, abuse, and lies. False promises, and no amount of polite conversation or fake concern could ever put you back in that cage again. Let them say it. Let them whisper it like it's some kind of warning. What the hell did you become? And here's this answer that they really can't handle, beautiful soul. You became the collapse of everything that tried to destroy you. You became the mirror that they can't look into. You became the price of underestimating someone who had nothing left to lose. And now you're not coming for closure. You're coming for the throne. You don't want peace. You want impact. You want them to remember what happened when they pushed you too far. When they forgot that even a buried seed can become dangerous if left alone in the dark too long. You don't walk into rooms anymore. You haunt them. You bend the energy. You shift the balance. Because this version of you, this isn't just a chapter, right? This is the ruin of their entire narrative. You're not a hero. You're not a villain. You're the aftershock. The event. You're the scar that will never fade. And don't you fucking ever apologize for it. Don't you dare flinch when they look at you with fear instead of affection. You earned that fear. You crafted it. You weaponized it. Because while they were trying to recover from life, you're building yourself into a legend. And not for praise, not for validation or fame, but because something inside of you finally snapped. Unleashed. You are no longer interested in surviving this world. You're not here to be pitied. You're not some humble comeback story for comfort-addicted audiences. You are here to conquer, to dismantle, to own everything they said that you could never touch. And you're not just coming back. You arrived crowned in silence and armored in pain, surrounded by ghosts who now answer to you. And when they finally fall, when the ones who mocked you lowered their heads in the presence of this force that you've become, they just dosed me. Let them hang in the air one last time. What the hell did you become, right? You don't need to speak or explain. Let your frickin' existence shatter their every expectation. Just tell them I became the end of everything you thought I'd be. So here we are in this old world in flames behind you, the old names crumbling like rusted monuments, the old you buried in a grave they forgot they dug it with their own hands, and still, they're not getting it. They're still trying, waiting for you to stop, waiting for you to slow down and die so they could mourn you. Aw, that sweet little coffin that they carved to keep you compliant, that place is dead to you. You've seen it, the blueprint behind the curtain, the way they train you to betray yourself, to fail politely, right? To lose without making a sound. But not anymore. Now you wear your rage like armor, you're wearing your scars like royal garments, and you're gonna walk into rooms like a verdict. And this is the part that they didn't plan for. They never imagined the day that you stopped fighting to be liked, you'd start fighting to be legendary. They thought your silence is a submission. They thought your absence meant defeat. But all this time, you've been building your own kingdom in exile, in the ruins, in the cold, where the weak are forged, not forgotten. Look around you, beautiful soul. You see anyone left who can stop you? Anyone bold enough to try? Anyone brave enough to look you in the eyes and say, go back to who you were? Probably not. Exactly. Because there is no going back. There never was. You don't fit into their old mold because you crushed it. You're the chaos that they couldn't control. The masterpiece that doesn't seek permission, right? The story that refuses to end quietly. You're not the echo of who you used to be. You're the explosion of every version you killed to get here. And domination. It's not even about them. It's not about revenge. It's about the firestorm of self-respect that now surrounds everything that you touch. Because the world remembers madness, right? It remembers violence with a purpose. But you became purpose. And not to join their system, right? Not for their applause or to be welcomed back to a table you never wanted a chair at. You became the new table. The story that breaks protocol, a name that they whisper like a course, and a prophecy in one. Let them watch. Let them tremble. Let them witness what it looks like when someone refuses to die the way they were told. Because this is beyond power. This is legacy. And legacies aren't built in peace. They're forged in fire and crowned with fear. Legacy. And this is what this is always about, isn't it? Not the comeback, not the redemption, not the clean little ending with a bow and a curtsy, a permanence. You didn't claw your way out of hell to be light. You didn't rebuild yourself from ashes and fury just to fade quietly into someone else's memory. You came back to etch yourself into history with your teeth, with your blood, with every shattered illusion that tried to tame you. Because you know what the truth is? That no one would admit. Most people, they die long before their body goes out, right? They die the second they come to realize who they are. The second they choose safety over truth. The second they trade their authenticity for acceptance. But you resurrected and refused. You let the fire burn everything fake until there was none of that left but the real you screaming beneath the ashes. And now you walk different. You speak different. You exist differently. Because you know things they don't. Impact doesn't come from being oh so good. It becomes from being unstoppable. They won't build the statues for you, right? They're not going to write books about your kindness, but they will never ever forget you. And not because of what you gave, because of what you refused to give up. They'll try to explain you away, call you unstable, obsessed, dangerous. Good. Because the moment that they can't define you, the moment they can define you and contain you, and you were never meant to be contained, you step out because you're the one that walks your own path. They used to point at you and said, that's what happens when somebody gives up, right? But now they're looking at you like, what the fuck did they become? And now you can tell that all these doors slammed shut are in fear. And their systems are breaking as you walk through them because they were never meant to stop you. They will never be able to forget you. You are leaving a scar in the timeline. You've branded this narrative. You corrupted their fairy tale with reality so raw, it turned the whole story into a warning. They'll tell other people, don't be like that. Don't go too far. Don't let that darkness take over. You're not darkness, and that's not even what ruined you. The darkness freed you. Because inside that darkness, you found your voice. You found your will. You found the monster that has a message. And now you're speaking in echoes. Your existence is a curse for the comfortable, a trigger for the timid, a blueprint for the bold. And long after your face is forgotten, your impact won't be. This is it, beautiful soul. The end of the path they never saw coming. The final breath of the version that they tried to bury. and the first roar of the empire that you built from the bones of your failures. You did not come back to participate. You came back to rule, to carve your name into the stone of time, with hands that stopped shaking the minute you stopped seeking their permission. Because what you became, it's not a phase, it's not a costume, a mask, or a rebellion. It's a permanent evolution. It's what happens when survival grows teeth. Right? When suffering learns to speak, when silence starts setting things on fire. They wanted to break you, but they got something worse than that. They awakened you. Every room you enter shifts. Every glance you give disarms. Every step you take is a reminder to the whole universe. This story did not end, it detonated. And that throne, it wasn't given. It wasn't inherited. You didn't stumble upon it. You built it from your own wreckage. You nailed it together with every rejection, forged it in the fire of every night that you were screaming and crying alone, and crowned it with your own damn madness. So look at them. All the ones that said you were too much, too intense, too damaged, too lost. They're sitting in silence because the too much they feared became the too powerful that they would never survive. You're not part of their system anymore. You are the exception that broke it. The glitch in the matrix, right? The disease in their order. That beautiful catastrophe that they can't kill and cannot control. They thought they were building a failure, but instead, they built a myth. A story that spits in their face of limitation. A legacy, not of mercy, but of inevitability, because your rise was never optional. It was fated. And now the world will never recover.